Good evening, council meeting will proceed. City of Marshfield, Tuesday, September 12th. Call to order, roll call. All present, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item C, identify possible conflicts of interest. Any conflicts of interest with the council? Seeing none, move on to public input. Possible ban on cat clawing. We will start with our forum on cat clawing. Our first speaker will be Mary Schlafke. If you'd like to come to the podium, say your name, address, and you have 5 minutes to give us your ideas on what your feelings are for the cat. Oh, and then there's a little button on the microphone down on the bottom there.
Okay. Mary Schlafke, 912 South Ash. First, let me start by saying that I volunteered at the pet shelter for many years. The cats were always my favorite. I am a cat owner. We have had numerous cats. We've always had them front declawed only. I can tell you, as a retired medical professional, I do know it's probably a little creepy when you think about what they actually do. And I can also tell you that our first cat was declawed over 30 years ago, and our last cat was declawed about 5 years ago. And the pain management and the way they treated the cats during surgery and stuff was totally different between them. I truly think that declawing is personal preference, and I know that vets are going away from doing it, probably because of the way it's done. But at the same time, I don't feel that that the city has to be involved in that personal preference of people, of what they want. I think that maybe some kind of an ordinance or something, I think there's bigger fish to fry than just declawing your cat. I think some neutering and spading guidelines that have to be enforced, or other pet violations that need to be enforced. Every year we're overwhelmed with the number of stray kittens that come in. I mean, I think that's a bigger issue. And yes, I know that declawing, you can have complications, but I think the pet neutering and spading is a bigger issue than the personal preference of declawing.
Thank you very much, Mary. Next, Tanya Brandel.
Hi, I'm Tana Brandt. I live at 614 North Ash Avenue in Marshfield. I've worked in the veterinary field for 20 plus years. And years ago, it was a standard practice to declaw cats. You had them spayed, you had them neutered, you had them declawed. One and done. Working in the veterinary field, we do see a lot of cats that react very negatively to declawing. They become very bitey. They become much more aggressive. We see cats that have total litter box aversion. We work with clients on cats that are not using the litter box because of pain in the paws from declawing. So these cats are surrendered to the humane societies. So again, you've got more cats that are being surrendered just based on poor litter box habits that are caused by the pain of having the claws removed. We do see cats that I've had my own cats where they don't put both paws on hard surfaces. They always sit with one paw up or one paw down because that surface is very hard on their paws. They have no, there's nothing between the bone and the pad of their paw from the declaw. We see very arthritic cats that have their nails their paws and their claws are just very arthritic from the pain of decline. There are more and more cities and towns and states that are enforcing the ban on decline. I don't think there's any veterinarians in the Marshfield area right now that do decline, as far as I know. I know our clinic does not do them. It said that in 2019, New York was the first state that completely banned decline. In 2022, Maryland followed. The entire state of Maryland has banned decline. In 2023, the state capital of Washington, D.C. banned decline. And then in December of 21, Madison has banned decline. So it is becoming a more, something that's people are becoming more aware of. It is something that is cruel. It is not necessary. And there are so many other alternatives to working with cats other than just cutting off their claws. So I am for the ban. I think that it should be enforced, and I support that.
Thank you, Tanya. Lori Crookstrom?
Good evening, Lori Crookstrom, 1221 East 29th Street here in our city. I have a concern. As a progressive city, we're always looking to bring in more businesses. And I just have a concern that if you're gonna tie a possible veterinarian facility that would like to come and move to our city of Marshfield, having this ban in place, they're gonna end up looking elsewhere and moving elsewhere, whether it's outside the city or to a different city totally. We don't want to promote that negativity for those businesses coming in. I feel it's an overreach of local government authority. And if a vet, as was mentioned, they choose not to do decline, that's their choice. And that's great if they have that as a choice on their own business side, their own business model. But for the city to actually have an ordinance against it, I think is an overreach. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Caitlin Loberg?
I'm Caitlin Loberg, 503 South Walnut. I am the shelter manager of the Marshfield Area Pet Shelter, as well as a certified veterinary technician. As an animal welfare organization, we at MAPS fight to improve the quality of life for the animals in our community. This declaw ban would be a huge step towards bettering the lives of the cats in this city, and that's something that we are all for. We've seen firsthand at the shelter the effect that declawing has on cats. As stated previously, we're the ones who are called when the cat no longer uses the litter box or is biting the kids because they have no other way to defend themselves. They're having all kinds of behavior and medical issues that we are then tasked to solve and try to find a new fit for them where they're allowed to, do what they need to do to survive. We see lots of overweight cats that are declawed, and you watch them walk and they are trying to take weight off of those paws because they are so painful. And it is horrible to watch that happen and then have somebody take a kitten from us and say, yep, we're gonna go declaw him. As a vet tech, I was part of many surgeries of declaw procedures, and I have seen the aftermath of those cats recovering from surgery, and it is traumatic. I don't think you could find any vet tech anywhere that says, I love declaw surgeries. Nobody likes doing it. They do it for the money and, because it brings in business and because people want them to do it, but nobody wants to be doing that. There's clear scientific evidence that this elective procedure that's done for convenience causes long-term disability in cats. And this isn't something that we do on dogs. We don't know why, but you would never imagine taking a dog in to get declawed, but they can do just as much damage with their nails. They can scratch up doors, dig holes in the yard, jump up on kids and scratch them, but you would never take your dog to the vet and say, declaw him. There's no major anatomical difference other than the fact that cats can retract their claws, which is actually a benefit for cats, but we do this on cats. Because a long time ago, somebody decided that a cat's well-being was worth less than a dog's. So it wasn't a problem to just take their toes off because it was easier for people to deal with. Just because something that's always been done doesn't mean it should keep happening. When we find out that it's inhumane and we find out more information about it, then we need to change. We can't keep doing it because it's something that's always happened. And a lot of people will say that this is a waste of time and, there are plenty of people that don't care. And that's totally fine. But the people who do care, this is extremely important to us. And I don't necessarily care about potholes, but I'm not gonna come up here and say that your ordinance about potholes is a waste of time. Local bans like this not only protect the cats in our city, but it also sends a message that animal welfare is important to this community. And hopefully that tells other communities that they can make these changes as well. So even if our vets here don't do the surgery now, or even if there are better things to do, it's important to start somewhere. And this is a great place to start.
Thank you, Caitlin. Karen Rao?
Karen Rao, 316 South Linden Avenue. I am the executive director and founder of the Marshfield Area Pet Shelter. I just want to say, Caitlin had spoke on behalf of our organization. But when I started MAPS 12 years ago, I wanted to help animals. And part of helping animals is to advocate for them, to be the voice for the voiceless. And that's what we're doing here, is being the voice for the voiceless. We are starting a conversation. We are advocating for them. So having said that, I want to thank Alderman Brian Giles for starting this, and all of you for considering this and listening to this. And we really appreciate that you are considering this, because one small victory for these animals means the world to us. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Christine Latin?
Christine Latin, 512 Sycamore Avenue. I am here as a longtime pet owner. I've had a cat that lived to be 20. I have a cat now who is 13, and I've had other cats. None of my cats have ever been declawed. I don't see any need to declaw a cat, and I feel it's inhumane, and I hope we can decide we don't need to do it anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. And that ends our cat forum. Item E, public comment period, correspondence. At this time, I will recognize those members of the public who have indicated a desire to address the council. Upon recognition by myself, persons may address the council, first stating their name and address. The council may act on emergency matters introduced by members of the council. But I apologize, I have to go back one more to D. Are there any other folks in the audience who would like to speak about the cat? Anyone else would like to speak about the cat that did not get to sign up? I apologize that I went forward.
Excuse me, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
correct me if I'm wrong, but in the past, when people have written in emails, they've been read to the council. I think we have one email that Barb received. Is it appropriate to read that into the meeting minutes like we've done in the past?
I don't actually have it in front of me. I can pull it up, though. I kind of considered in passing that along to the council. It was similar to what Tom had gotten through the public input of all the many email type comments that we got. So I guess I leave it to your discretion. I mean, I can certainly try and pull it up if you'd like. But there were many comments, just so people who don't know in the audience who haven't seen the agenda packet contained a lot of comments that came into us through the various platforms that we use to reach out to people to find out how they felt pro and con about this subject.
That's fine. If they're not appropriate, that's fine.
Well, I know it's not appropriate. I don't have it at my fingertips. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, thank you for bringing that
Okay.
forth, Russ, and thank you, Steve. So then we will go back to public comment, and we have Mr. Bill Panker. If you'd like to come forward?
Good evening, William Penker, 600 Sycamore Avenue. My comments this evening are from the perspective of a concerned resident and a concerned council watcher. They are prompted by two items from the agenda for the August 28th special meeting. The first, the budget resolution for recruitment services for the position of Assistant Administrator, Community Development Director. And second, the sale of property in the nearly empty Mill Creek Business Park. At a past meeting, there was a discussion about changing the covenants for developments in that business park. I believe any discussion of covenants is premature. The actual issue is how do we take the mission and vision for that facility, as well as the means of implementation, to 2024 and beyond? How do we take what is now a static enterprise and make it a kinetic means of implementing the goals and objectives in the comprehensive plan? Second, housing is an important component of community development. Reports, both commissioned and internal, from 2006, 13, 15, 17, 19, and 2021, and these are the ones in my files, have significant statements about the development of housing in Marshfield. Collectively, the reports present a housing vision. Of particular note are the multiple references to downtown Marshfield being a potential hotbed for housing, condominiums, townhouses, apartments, renovations, rehabilitations, and repurposing. And as defined by the city, downtown is actually 7 distinct districts or neighborhoods. You have the central neighborhoods, east and west, downtown, east and west, the retail core, north side, and the south gateway. Basically, we are going from the athletic fields to beyond the library, and from approximately Blodgett Street down to 9th Street. In 2017, the city defined its housing mission. It is the mission of the city of Marshfield to provide a fiscally sound, family-oriented community with a full range of housing. It is important for adequate and safe housing to be available for all its residents. We have a mission and a vision for a vital part of community development. To paraphrase what was noted by one of our consultants in 2013, community development cannot be successful without vision and leadership. Do we have a housing mission and a housing vision applicable to 2024 and beyond? Do we have a development and planning team in City Hall or soon to be there that can provide strong leadership in implementing the mission and vision for housing in Marshfield? And with the housing section of the comprehensive plan due for a review in 2024, should that be done now rather than later? I believe answering these questions and making strong recommendations should be the only tasks for the Housing Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Seeing no other public comments, we'll go on to item F, approval of minutes, August 22nd, 2023 regular meeting and August 28th, 2023 special meeting. Motion by Alderman Varsho, second by Alderman O'Reilly. Any thoughts or comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Mrs. Spiros?
Yes.
Mr. Rigel?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Staff updates, report on new public survey tool, request by Councilmember Werman, presented by Tom Laust, Communications Director.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, just going to give you a short update on our public input tool, which is our survey tool. And as of today, we have executed 4 major surveys. And they are, again, on cat declawing, employee satisfaction survey, chicken ordinance survey, and information on how they would like to receive from us, our communications department. And that was the first survey that we did. What are we working on currently on this tool? Working on a survey, and this will be a survey on how citizens rank city services, and this will help us when our budget season comes along. And that would be topics such as safety, police, fire, and ambulance, recreation, parks, playgrounds, natural areas, trails, Band-Aid waters, roads, building, repair, plowing, cleaning, ideas like that, development, supporting downtown businesses, industry and housing, city hall, such as permits and licensing and voting, and communications, TV, Facebook, newsletter, things like that. So we're working on a survey right now on that. It's in draft form at this point. The other thing we're working on a survey would be regarding to pursuing a local radio station that was brought up a while back with the council of having a low-power FM radio station. We do want to see if the public is interested in something like that before we pursue something like that to get an idea. We're also working on branding the hub page and using it as a communications tool because it has a lot to offer. A few more things here. Moving forward with council recommendations for surveys. This is the way I'd like it to work. All surveys would go through me as a communications director. So if you're looking to conduct a survey, please contact me and I can get that together in draft form, work with you individually as needed, as with city administrator and city staff. I can be the point person by putting that together, but then I can share you in on the draft process, the setup within there for you to review. It just saves a lot of time for you to mess with the back end of the system and gladly take your input along with department head and city administrator input as well. One other thing about that I want to talk about is also be able to share real-time analytics. That means as the survey is going, you'll be able to have access to that if needed. A last piece I wanted to address in this public input survey, it's more than a survey tool. We've just really started with that piece now. What it can do, like this cat declawing project that we did, you can put a timeline on there. You can put everything from the beginning to the end, along with videos, way for the residents, project engineers, city staff, really about anybody to follow the project easier than trying to look around all around for everything. So it's in one spot. Other piece, consultants can use this. So if we have consultants that are part of projects, they can use this and they can have access to it. And a lot of consultants use that in other municipalities. So I encourage that piece, and so does public input. Virtual meetings with Zoom can be done with this integration as well. For instance, it can be done differently than this if needed. Automated phone responses are there. Automated email is there, like we did with the CAT survey. That was a special email, so I didn't have to publish my personal email. It was actually directed right to my mailbox, and it's archived as well. Text, there's a text version there. We have done that. You can brand with a URL, again, an email. You can also do something really neat, just receive input from citizens per district. We could set something like that up for council members. And looking into more about that, I think that'd be great for citizens and new council members that take over from a district. They would have their constituents list and an ongoing database. So looking to see if that can be done, and we could map that directly right down to the addresses that's made for those districts using this tool. And then a how-to tool for citizens, like, things about how do you do this, what's this about, can be used as well. So that's where we're at right now in the process. We've just really scratched the surface. There's a lot to do. But please contact me if you have questions. I'm here, glad to help you out. Do you have any questions for me?
Alderman Werman?
Hey, Tom, thanks for putting this together. And I did just want to say thank you real quick too for giving a brief synopsis, but also on behalf of everyone who took the CAT survey, just saying thanks for the city because I'm sure they appreciated the platform. Just a couple quick questions. One, what kind of results are we seeing? Like, are we getting a lot of interaction on the surveys that you've done? I know it's a limited number. And then two, I know you mentioned going forward, you'll be the point of contact for those. And I think that's great. I have a lot of great ideas for surveys. Is there a minimum amount of information or maybe like a web form or something that you want us to go through to be able to submit ideas to kind of streamline that communication?
Yeah, first question, are we getting a lot of feedback? Yes, especially when we push it out on our other platforms, newsletter, TV, news release, Facebook. It all goes together, and public input is able to put that all together. And that helps a lot with promoting it. If we just use the survey tool on its own, no, it wouldn't work. But we are getting amazing amount of feedback, more than I anticipated with it. And we really haven't even branded it yet. So once we brand this with a name, because that's what we really should be doing, is have a name to it, like Connect or something like that. I think it'll grow. So, and then your other piece that you asked about is like a form. We do have a form. Currently, we're not using any kind of form. That's been email at this point, but if it does seem necessary, I can create an online form, and it'd be easy to do that, and it would go directly to our department.
Perfect, thank you.
Alderman Tompkins?
I just want to say thank you as well. These sort of things make our job so much, not easier, but it really does help us do our job if we hear from the citizens. I'm wondering if when we get results, it might be helpful for us to break it down between Marshfield citizens and people outside. So that would just be one of the requests that I would ask for, is that the results that we are presented with are from Marshfield citizens.
Yeah, most definitely. I think, the first couple times that we did this, you were starting to see some results beyond Marshfield. We did narrow that down. I'll make it a lot easier for you. I also want to get you involved in the comments to see those before we have to print those out. So you're able to actually run that report. I think that's going to be key. They have this like high-level mayor's mode. Well, I look at it as a council member's mode, and I'll be able to provide you that. So you can actually go in there and look for yourself to see what's happening. And you can't change anything. It just gives you one-way information.
Any other council members make comments? Otherwise, again, Tom, thank you very much.
Okay.
And moving forward, this is great for the city. And Natasha is exactly right. It's going to help all of us understand more. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Item H, my comments. Generally, when I do a proclamation, I stand, so I will stand this evening because we have to give them all the same, correct? I'm doing a proclamation this evening for the National Rail Safety Week. National Rail Safety Week 2023. Whereas Rail Safety Week is to be held across the U.S. from September 18th to the 24th, 2023. Whereas 2,194 rail guard crossing collisions resulted in 803 personal injuries and were responsible for 274 fatalities in the United States during 2002. And whereas 1,208 pedestrian trespassing casualties have occurred in the United States, resulting in 658 pedestrians being killed and another 550 injured while trespassing on railroad property rights of way during 2022. And whereas educating and informing the public about rail safety, reminding the public that railroad right-of-ways are private property, enhancing public awareness of the dangers associated with highway rail grade crossings, ensuring pedestrians and motorists are looking and listening while near railroads, and obeying established traffic laws will reduce the number of avoidable fatalities and injuries caused by incidences involving trains and citizens. And whereas the International Association of Chiefs of Police, National Operation Lifesaver, United States Department of Transportation, and all local, state, county, and railway law officer enforcement, first responders, and railroad correspondents commit to partnering together in an effort to educate at the national level as aspects of railroad safety to inform applicable laws in support of National Rail Safety Week. Therefore, I, Mayor Lois T. Strake, do hereby assert my full support proclaiming September 28th through 24th, 2023, National Rail Safety Week, and I encourage all citizens to recognize the importance of rail safety education. Item I, Common Council. Any comments from the council this evening? Seeing none, city administrators update.
Thank you. First of all, I want to kind of dovetail. Thank you for reading that proclamation, Mayor. And just to remind people that we do have people every month meeting to study the type of emergencies we might face here. I've been here for 12 and a half years, and we've done drills and tabletop exercises before on rail safety multiple times, things that involved that type of incident, since we have a railway running right through our community. So it's very important for everybody to be acknowledging and recognizing the potential dangers in being safe around railroads. A couple other items real quickly. First of all, we are scheduling a special meeting of the council. It'll be on the agenda later tonight. But just to note it here, what we're trying to do is look at the results of a survey, of a study that was done about the possible relocation of our police department. So I encourage everyone here to stay by, or if you're watching on TV, to listen for that part of the meeting. That's what the special meeting is going to be about in early October. And then finally, just another note about the recent revaluation of property in our city. There's a little bit of heartburn among people, and they've gotten the notices. And many people have talked with our city assessor and assistant or deputy city assessor. They've met with a lot of folks to explain the change in valuation and get them to understand what went into it. But we look at the results now, and the average home in Marshfield increased by 50%, and the commercial properties increased by a lesser percent. So as we start getting ready for the budget process, which we're kicking into here soon, keep in mind the council will have to do some hard work along with staff to control the budget cost to the greatest degree possible and help account for the fact that there may be a slight shift there because of the greater value increase on residential property compared to commercial. And just wanted to let you know we're cognizant of that and making sure that we provide the best value at the best price we can here at the city of Marshfield. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Steve. Item K, reports from commissions, boards, and committees. Seeing none. Item L, consent agenda. We have a motion by Alderman Fire, second by Alderman Giles. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Mrs. Spiros?
Yes.
Mr. Rigel?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. We can skip over item M because there was nothing removed from consent agenda. Actually, item M, excuse me. Item N, presentation. Proposed residential development in TIF District Number 13, Dan Hoy Homes, introduced by Steve Barr, City Administrator, presented by Dan Holmes staff.
Well, hi, just to give a quick introduction as Samantha heads toward the lectern area, we do have TIF District 13. It's the area generally south and east of East Washington, Washington Avenue and East 21st. And the proposal we have, and we've talked about it a little bit before, for a mixed development of some single family, two family, and 4-unit buildings. We had a rezoning that got passed in the last couple of months by the Plan Commission and the Council. And tonight we have Samantha Miller, Business Development Manager from Denyon Homes, and she's going to make a presentation to the council about what Denyon does elsewhere and what this project would be about here in Marshfield. So Samantha, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, sorry, while I figure this out. Thank you, first of all, for allowing Denyon Homes here to present. Like he mentioned, my name is Samantha Miller, and I am the Business Development Manager for Denyon Homes. So we have been working actually very, very hard on Green Acres Estates First Edition. So we do have a proposed plat, and I'm just going to introduce a little bit about Denyon and the project here that we are proposing in the city of Marshfield. Okay, perfect. So about us, Denyon Homes develops master plan residential neighborhoods throughout central Wisconsin. So central Wisconsin, in the area, like I mentioned, we do have a current subdivision in Wausau, 15 acres. We do have a current subdivision in Weston, which is Hinner Springs, and then we do have a subdivision in Plover, which is Harvest Acres. So the company does build roughly 60 to 70 homes per year. And we are a family-owned company that has been in business for over 20 years, focusing on affordable and quality homes. So we are an Energy Star partner as well. So our homes are super efficient, and we are actually proposing a very large subdivision here in Marshfield. So a little bit about Denyon and what we offer. So our standalone home plans, we do have 23 different variations. So we have a very diverse portfolio that I will get into a little bit later. We do have 3 different townhome plans. So those are 2-story plans, which is a 0 lot line, which is a brand new product for us this year, which is super exciting, and then 5 twin home plans as well. So like I mentioned, our portfolio is extremely diverse, and we are looking forward to bringing that to the city. So the first element of the subdivision that I can showcase later is through lots 10 through lot 23 will all be executive style and executive series homes. So those prices are going to be ranging that also do vary about $364,900 all the way up to $560,000. So that is our top tier, which is the Acadia model that we actually just completed in Plover. So it's 3,000 square feet. And like I said, our diverse portfolio, we offer and sprinkle in a little bit of everything within our subdivision, so it's truly a multi-generational community. So as you can see, we have various different floor plans there. We do have 9 different executive series options, and then the Orchid is the lowest one at 2,300 square feet. So like I mentioned, lots 10 through 23 are going to be the executive corner of this proposed subdivision. And then moving into the middle section, which would be lots 28 through 33, and then 4 through 9 would be more of our family series options. So those are a little bit smaller. I'm still offering 2 and 3 car garage homes. So we do have a lot of ranch style elements within this series. So this series, like I said, varies anywhere from 1,300 square feet all the way up to 1,700 square feet in the family series, which is ideal for families. So that multi-generational community is really being brought out in this proposed subdivision. There is more of the family series. And then our last entry-level homes are our neighborhood series. So these are the ones that will make up a bulk of the subdivision. So these ones are starting at $279,900 going up all the way to $339,900, which is our current pricing in our other subdivisions. So we are working currently on a market analysis. So I can get into that a little bit later, but it is currently in progress. We've been working very diligently to get that done and really evaluate the different elements in the market here in Marshfield. So like I mentioned, these ones start at $279,900 going to $339,900. You're gonna see a lot of garage unders and a lot of bi-level homes, which really differentiate the market. We also do have a 2-story. And so like I mentioned, new for 2023, we do have 0 lot lines, which is a new element and a new product for Denyon Homes. So we do have townhomes and twin homes. So 0 lot lines are something that we introduced in the Weston market. So we were the first mover there. Now there are 2 other developers that are also doing 0 lot line homes. Like I said, in the Weston market. In the Plover market, we were not the first mover. We were kind of late to the game there. However, all of our twin homes in Plover have been selling prior to us even finishing them. So with the 0 lot lines and with all of our standalone homes, we do build everything and have a special design center, and every home is started as a spec home. So then buyers, depending on the time of when they want to come in and purchase their home, they can then pick out finishes such as interior carpet, cabinets, countertops, style, color, laminate versus granite, or hard surface and quartz. So those all those elements are customizable. Same for the 0 lot lines as well. So why 0 lot lines? So we are proposing quite a few actually 0 lot lines on the bottom portion. So that will be where South Washington Avenue is, and then where the mobile park home is on the bottom. And why we take pride in 0 lot lines is because they're self-managed. So there is no association, no HOA fees. There's no association that is managing those. They are self-managed, so lawn care and snow removal is on the buyer, and it has less exterior maintenance with the common wall agreement. So all of the twin home and townhome owners do sign a common wall agreement, and it really just is incredible. There's nothing that can't be done. So it's like living in an apartment, but more of an affordable option. So they have less lawn to mow, they have less exteriors because they are all connected buildings. And like I mentioned, the no association fees is what's very attractive right now in Plover. So here are some of our townhome models. So this exact model is actually built in Weston. So we started our first one. So 2 of these homes are sold. We do have currently 1 listed and 1 is a model home that we use as a mini design center within the subdivision. We are building our second 4-unit building right now and are working on pre-selling those. So each of those floor plans are 1,550 square feet, and this townhome is actually on a slab, so there is no basement. So the main level is 675 square feet, and they're 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and 2-car garage. And they all do have EV charging ports as well for electric cars. So our twin homes are, like I said, kind of our bread and butter product right now. So we do have 5 variations of these. These 4 are currently built in Plover, and we do currently have everything. One of these models is sold in Plover for all of them. So we do currently have some Flints and an Enon still remaining, but these are the ones that are actually being sold while they're in the framing products or in the framing element and stage of the build. So these ones vary in square footages. So the Flint is actually 898 square feet. So like I said, that's the smallest we build. Our Arcadia standalone plan is 3,000 square feet, which is the biggest that we built. And we kind of have twin homes within the mix. The most popular one is the Blaze at 1166. So the Sahara is a super unique twin home that we build that we've actually only built once right now in Weston. It takes a very special lot for this home to work there. It is pretty deep, so we have only built that one once, but we're hopeful to build it in the Marshfield subdivision. So a little bit about Marshfield and why Denyon Homes is choosing to build in Marshfield. So our proposed plat here in Marshfield would offer 39 standalone homes, 16 townhomes, which is 4 4-unit buildings, and then 22 twin homes, so 11 buildings. And I mentioned our market analysis and our housing study. So some of the top 3 trends that we are focusing on right now is the stable population that Marshfield has over the last 6 to 15 years. So in the real estate world and in our industry, we focus on new construction homes. We focus on homes that sell 1 to 5 years and then 6 to 15. So the second portion is home sales. So there have been nearly 2,300 home sales in Marshfield in the last 3 years. Only 9 of them have been brand new. So that is a gap that we are able to fill. And there's an area of opportunity to bring brand new construction to the Marshfield market. The other element is the median household income. So the median household income is just over $52,000, which is below the state average, but it's extremely similar to the other markets that we are currently in, except for Stettin. So that is an executive market, but Weston and Plover are very similar as well. So it looks good for this project. So this is the current proposed plat that we have. So you can see Aspen Avenue there, and South Washington is on the far left of the screen. So as I mentioned, above East 21st Street is where the executive style homes and series homes would be, in addition to the 8 lots on the right. You can see the townhomes on the bottom in the very, very small lot sizes there. And then you can also see the twin homes on the right-hand side, which also does back up to duplexes on that side. So that is a little bit about Denyon Homes and our proposed project.
Thank you, Samantha. Alderman Tompkins?
Is it okay to ask questions right now?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I can happily answer them.
Wonderful. Thank you for that presentation. So I was writing down just cost, your ranges. The family series home, what was the cost? The range for the buying that one, do you remember?
Sure. So our neighborhood series starts at, I'm trying to think, it's $279,900.
The family series, was there a family series?
Yep, so it goes oh, sorry, am I not close enough? It goes neighborhood series, family series, and then executive.
Okay.
So the lowest tier that we have is $279,900. It's a bi-level, and that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. So that series goes all the way to about $339,900. Then we start at $334,900 in the next series. It depends on finishes, laminate, hard surface, those types of things, and what we choose to build as a spec. So then that is going to go all the way up to $354,900. So then we have an overlap between $354,900 all the way up to, like I said, our Arcadia was just listed in Plover at $567,900.
Okay.
So we only build one of those in each subdivision.
So your smallest one was a twin, and I think it was about 900 square feet. So is that the one that you are saying would sell for about $280,000?
No, those are just the standalone prices that I shared. So the twin homes do vary again on finishes. We currently have twin homes listed in Plover at $234,900. So the smallest one is $234,000.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other council members have questions? Alderman Wagner?
Thank you. One of the things that we've been noticing, as we've been traveling down this road, is that, there seems to be a gap, and I want to thank one of my colleagues for telling me that what we've got is a gap in the middle on the thing. And basically, these are getting a little bit, your lowest model is getting right at the top end of what maybe somebody some family earning our median income would be able to do. Are you facing this in Plover, and how are you addressing it?
No, we're actually not facing it in Plover currently. So one nice thing about Denyon Homes is that we do not require a construction loan to build with us. So it's just an ordinary home loan, so that is one advantage. But all of our homes in Plover right now, in the multi-generational community, even with the higher interest rates right now, we're not facing any challenges currently. All of our inventory is selling. So does that answer your question? We're not necessarily overcoming any challenges because we're not experiencing challenges.
You don't have any data on what income levels that are actually being done there. I mean, we know what the house costs.
Mm-hmm.
How are they financing it? How are they affording it?
Oh, sure. So you're asking about our buyers?
Yes.
Yeah, so our twin home buyers actually vary. So it's either empty nesters or it's first-time home buyers that are getting a mortgage at a interest rate that is identical to their rent rate and they want to build equity. So like I mentioned, they don't have to have a construction loan. So our buyers, there's some that come in and do finance it through a normal 15 or 30-year mortgage. We do have all cash buyers as well. We have a housing study in Plover that we did, and the median income is very, very similar actually. And so like I said, most of our twin home buyers are either cash or financing it at 15 or 30 years.
Yes, Rebecca, you'll be next. Rebecca?
Okay, thank you for that presentation. I have a couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, how many homes will you be building a year in the subdivision? Will you be building them as they're ordered, or will you be putting up spec homes and then putting them up on the market?
Sure. So part of our mission statement and what we offer is lot and home packages for value-minded clients with excellent subcontractors and employees. So all of our elements, all of our homes are built as a spec home. As I mentioned, we do have a design center. So all of our subdivisions are master planned. So we actually do have this one master planned out into which plan will go on which lot. All the exterior colors for the homes are master planned and selected. And actually all the interior colors are planned in phases. So even though this one is actually being platted as one, we are looking to propose to build in 2 phases. We're currently working on the developer's agreement with the city of Marshfield regarding the number of homes that we would be completing. With that current number that's in there, the project has to be done by 2029. We would be moving to push that project along and complete prior to 2027.
Anything else?
And then you also, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. That's good. Thank you.
Oh, so, and then for your twin homes and your townhomes,
Mm-hmm.
You said that, so who is responsible if the roof needs replaced?
Sure. So that is part of the common wall agreement. So both parties of the townhome or of the twin home do sign the common wall agreement. Should they not agree, if the siding and or the roof needs to be replaced, it will go to mediation.
Okay. I think that's all I have for now.
We do have covenants too in all of our subdivisions that do have twin home and townhome clauses. So that way there's some special criteria regarding fencing and those types of elements in addition to the siding colors. As you could see, they were like red, green, blue. We selected those, so if someone changes it to something else, there's covenants behind that.
Alderman Tompkins?
Okay, I'm just going off of Alderman Werman. I think, was it you? No, someone else said something. Okay, I'm wondering, it was Mr. Wagner. The percentages of the high-end houses versus the family series versus the family series on the lower end. What percentage are you seeing in phase 1 and 2 together would be the high-end executive homes?
What percentage of them?
Of the whole thing.
Well, lots 10 through 23 would be the executive series is what we are tentatively looking at. Yep, so it would be on Aspen Ave, the north side of that in East Washington, East 21st, sorry. And then lots 16 through 23. So I don't have an exact percentage for you right now of the project, but we kind of do build those ones in phases. So we never build all of one series at one time. So to start this project, we would build 1 4-unit building, so a townhome, 2 twin homes, and 4 standalone homes is our ideal start on this project. So we would just do that, and we never typically build, or we never start just one home. So they wouldn't be, to answer the other gal's question, we build them all as a spec, so we wouldn't just build them as they're ordered, we would build them anyway. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
we're, we sort of know that with our medium income here in Marshfield, we're trying to hit around the 200,000 if possible, which is probably not gonna happen. You're getting, your, lowest is 234. So I'm just wondering, for the lower end, for the people who we'd call the workforce housing, my question was just how much of this development would address that for people?
The workforce housing? Unfortunately, none of them. We cannot build a house for under $200,000. It's not possible currently.
And what percentage would you say would be 250 and below?
The twin homes, most of the twin homes. So I don't know exactly, there's 22 twin home lots. So again, we kind of determine that when we build the specs and when we select them. So I'm actually the one that picks out every single exterior and interior finish that Denyon Homes does have in their spec homes. So if we choose to do hard surface in one twin home, it's going to be, maybe $2,000 or $3,000 more than the one next to it. That's the difference in a diverse portfolio, is that none of our twin homes, even though on the exterior they may look alike, none of them are the same on the inside. So we have 6 different cabinet colors. We work with incredible suppliers, local companies. We have custom cabinets in our homes, so they're not $200,000 elements that are in there. So the prices are going to range, like I mentioned, just dependent on what we select in there and what's finished in the lower level. So all of the twin homes do have a basement option. We can price them lower if we don't finish any of the lower level within them. Those are all things that we kind of have in the market. And we can kind of determine that based on what the market is doing. Right now, we have one that is currently sitting in Plover. So we are going back and finishing the lower level just to make it more attractive, because then it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom twin home instead of a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom twin home. So we can kind of judge that based on what we're kind of seeing in the market. But right now our inventory is, we have interest lists for all 3 of our subdivisions waiting for us to put foundations in so they can put an offer in on our homes to have a closing date in next April or May.
Alderman Wagner, then Alderman Spiros.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm addressing more of this to the Common Council than I am to you, because it seems to me that the line of reasoning that was being pursued here leaves us exactly in the same place we are now. Except we have a builder dedicated to do the low end and the high end, and the middle is again left on met. That's what concerns me. I think the council, if we want to truly provide workforce housing, we're not going to get it in new construction. We're going to have to do something different. We may have to look at purchase and rehab as one possibility. We may have to do something like that. This will meet some of our needs, certainly, but not all of them, and we need to address all of them at the same time, essentially. And the last thing that I have is the question that I always ask, and that is, what do you want from the city and how much is it going to cost?
That is all elements that we are currently working on in the developer's agreement. So I did receive the first draft today, and I have yet to review it because I was on my way over here. So
we don't know what you're. And by the way, does any of your neighborhood building actually lend itself to incremental approaches? In other words, instead of going great guns on one house in each neighborhood or something like that, is it something that you could build as you get the orders? And,
I mean-
and we could extend the infrastructure as you expand, or ahead of what you're expanding.
Yeah, so that's part of the reason why we're proposing to do the elements and proposing to do it in 2 different phases. So just from a subcontractor standpoint and our team, we wouldn't just build them as they're ordered. We can't send a team over here to build one and then, you know, go back to Plover, go back to Satine or do those elements. We would want to start 8 foundations over here at a minimum in order to get the subdivision up and rolling. We do the exact same thing in Plover. So I just planned all of the ones that we're actually going to get in this year prior to the freeze. So that's kind of what we do. And then our team has to work over the weekend, or not over the weekend, over the winter in order to get those homes completed and vertical for a closing date of April or May. So then we plan out the next one. So once everything thaws out in the springtime, we plan the next 8 in Henner Springs, we plan the next 8 in Harvest Acres, and we go in increments of 8, just because that's the most efficient for us and our team and our subcontractors. So when we're working with a trim carpenter, you know, that's going to trim out some houses, we can send them to Plover and they can do all 8 of them at the same time.
But you are also sort of stuck with the whim of the market. So basically, are you going to be, do you think the market here can support what you're proposing?
Yes, absolutely. Just based on our current housing study that we've done that we're about, I would say 3/4 completed with, yes. Which is why we're pushing to move forward with the project.
I would not expect you to say anything less. So, but thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Alderman Spiros?
Yeah, I just want to go back to a couple of the homes. The twin home, you said that with that 234.9, that's a 898 square foot house. So I assume that's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. The 234.9, is that including the unfinished basement?
Correct.
So
So
if
it's
they finished
unfinished.
the basement, what would? Okay, and so if they finish the basement, what price range does that jump up to? And I realize it depends on the finishes they're picking and all that kind of stuff, but.
Yeah, it also depends on what they finish in the basement. So if they finish the whole level, we actually offer tons of promotions for people that do a home and planning and or a lot reservation. So that's what we're currently doing in our Satine Acres market. Hopefully in the next month or so, we do lot reservations and lot holds. People can select their lot and we will build on it and get to it when it's available in our production schedule. So depending on, you know, if they're gonna finish the whole lower level, it depends on if we're running a promotion. Right now, we're doing 50% off the entire lower level. It depends on, some people only want the bathroom finished in the basement. If they do, I don't have the exact pricing on an entire lower level, but you know, we typically will do it depending on our production. I mean, sometimes it's not even an option. So if we're already fully on to the next house and someone's like, hey, I need to come in and do the lower level. It depends on our production, where our team is, what they're doing, if they're in one of the 3 subdivisions, those types of things.
Understood. Do you, when you build these homes with the unfinished basement, do they have the big windows and an exit out of them?
Correct.
Already built that way?
Correct.
Okay. And then how quickly do 898 square foot houses sell? I feel like that's just like really tiny, like almost a tiny home.
Yeah, it really just depends. So buyers in Plover currently are first-time home buyers, like I mentioned. No construction loan needed, tired of renting at outrageous rates, looking to build equity in something and own something. So we do have one, lot 44 in Plover, that is currently listed. And we do also have one in Henner Springs in Weston. The Flint is not a model that we build a ton of. Like I mentioned, our Blaze is the most popular, which is at 1166 square feet on the main level. And that is the most popular floor plan. And that is what we do build probably the most of currently.
Okay, and how much is the Blaze? What's the base price on the Blaze?
I believe it's $237,900. I wish my estimator was here. I'm kidding.
Really not too much more.
No.
And then one last question. At the very beginning of your presentation, you said that there were only 9 brand new homes sold in Marshfield. What was the time frame on that, and where
That
did you
was-
get that number at?
Sure, that was actually out of the MLS, the Central Wisconsin MLS, and that was in the last 3 years. So since 2020.
I was curious because I work over on 11th Street, and I make the turn down South Adams continuously, and I believe there's been at least 7 duplexes built there, all within the last 3 years.
Oh,
And
sure.
they're all sold, none of them.
Sure,
not
so
sold.
that
I
number.
didn't know where you.
That number was standalone homes. So standalone homes out of Paragon, the Central Wisconsin MLS, in the last 3 years. I didn't pull the zero lot
Okay,
line
thank you.
numbers.
Okay.
Alderman
Thank you.
Weigel?
Thank you. I had to unmute myself first. You said you work with subcontractors. Do you use the same subcontractors regardless of the location, or does that vary by location to location?
It actually varies location by location. So the subcontractors that we are using in Plover currently, some of them do come to Weston, and then some of our Weston subcontractors do go to Stettin. It really just depends on the availability and who bids on the job. So we do put it out, for proposals, and we do collect bids, and our estimator actually is the one that goes through the bids, and will kind of award the bids based on what they come in, or award the project based on what the bids come in at.
Okay, you answered my follow-ups. Thank you.
Any other questions? Samantha, thank you for that dynamic
Thank you.
presentation. Item O, presentation of candidates, citizen and council for appointment, various term lengths to the Marshfield Utilities Commission presented by myself. We have 2 candidates here this evening who are looking to fill the positions for the help me, I'm sorry. The citizen, yes.
That's right.
Nick Paschal is here, if you'd like to come before the podium. Nick?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Most of you know me. I'm Nick Paschal. I live at 927 Western Street. For those of you who may need a refresher, I spent 28 years on the police department. I retired at the end of 2016. After that, I spent 3 terms on the Common Council, sitting up over there. I recently left that position, and now I'm looking for something less meetings, but still significant for the city. Basically, if I'm selected for this, I'll do my best to provide high-quality utility services to the customers at the most expensive, the most advantageous prices for our customers. Anybody have any questions for me? I'll be glad to answer.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for stepping forward. Chris Mikulski.
Hi, good evening. My name is Chris Mikulski of 1507 West 7th Street in Marshfield. I'm a native of Marshfield. I have a BA in emergency management from UW Green Bay. I was an emergency manager in the Air Force for 14 years, more recently separated from the fighter wing in Madison, where I was part of a civil engineering squadron and maintained equipment that was over $1 million for detection equipment and equipment to support the mission. At my current employer at the pharmacy here in Marshfield, I'm the safety officer as well. Before the commission, I believe my skill set and education would make me a good candidate to support the commission in their duties and responsibilities. Thank you.
Any questions for Chris? Chris, thank you for stepping up also. We also have 2 council members who are interested in fulfilling the duties. If each one of you would like to, you can stay right where you're at if you'd like to. Just give us a reason why we should vote you 2 in the Marshfield Utilities. And I'm going to pick a name out of a hat and say Mike O'Reilly first, and see put his name in the hat first. How's that? That's pretty fair, right, everybody?
Sounds good. Thank you, Mayor. Mike O'Reilly, District 9 Alderman. I work in a similar field. I own a electrical contracting business in town. And I mean, I understand the verbiage, a lot of the same type of interaction that the utility has in Marshfield, terminology, methods, that type of information. I've worked with Marshfield Utilities for my last 30 years in the trade, so I have a lot of pre-established working relationships with a lot of the people there. And I think I would have a lot to contribute, so appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mike. Alderman Tompkins?
Hi, Natasha Tompkins, District 3 Alderperson. So one of the ways that I tend to make decisions is to understand it before the decision is made. And I think that drives a few people nuts because I ask a lot of questions, but that's part of the reason I ask the questions. And this role of having 2 council members on the Utilities Commission, which is a new role, which also allows us to vote. Part of that is to have 2 people who have the interests of the city and all of the citizens, maybe a different interest because our interest is broader. Utilities, their interest is to make sure that we have the utilities, that we have good service. Our interest is to make sure that not only do our citizens have utilities, but that the utilities is affordable, and also that there is a good working relationship between Marshfield Utilities, which is ultimately under the city council. So to build that bridge, I think it's important to have us on that committee to ask questions and to understand the decisions. And then we go back and do our job of representing the citizens and being able to speak to the various issues where the citizens and the utilities will interface. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for either one of our council members? There'll be no action taken this evening. Action will be set for September 26th for both of these entities. Thank you all again for stepping up. Item P, request to approve budget resolution number 24-2023, transferring $50,000 from the general fund contingency account to the general fund professional services account for environmental investigation of a former landfill site, presented by Jennifer Solinsky, Finance Director.
Good evening. The city has received a responsible party notice for a former landfill site located within the city, and this notification has triggered a requirement to complete some environmental assessments on the site that will ultimately cost the city money. We have hired a consultant as dictated by the DNR for this notice, and that consultant has estimated the cost to investigate the site to be between $20,000 and $50,000. What I am proposing this evening in the budget resolution is an amount not to exceed $50,000 as a transfer from the general fund contingency to an expense account specifically for this project within the general fund for the purpose of meeting paying for the expenditures necessary to meet the requirement of the responsible party notification of the DNR. With that, I would ask for your approval of budget resolution 24-2023.
We have a motion by Alderman O'Reilly, second by Alderman Varsho. Alderman Spiros.
Jennifer, just a couple of questions. Can you tell us how much has been spent so far with this site, and what if we transfer the whole 50, if we use the whole 50, what would be left in our contingency fund?
I'm going to call on the Public Works Director for answer number 1.
Without actually looking at it, but I think I recall that we've spent approximately $7,800 on this site for initial investigation due to a claim that was made against the city.
At this time, but prior to this budget resolution, we have resolutions of about $200,000 from our contingency fund assigned to budget resolutions so far this year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, please vote.
Mrs. Spiros?
Yes.
Mr. Rigel?
Yes.
That passes. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Item Q, request to authorize request for proposals, RFP for property liability insurance coverage presented by Jennifer Solinsky, Finance Director.
Earlier this year, the city was asked to solicit responses for an RFP for insurance services. The city currently contracts with the League of Municipalities for most of its property and liability insurance policies, with the exception being a policy we have for Aero and volunteers. The enclosed packet, which I placed on your desk prior to the meeting, outlines a timeline and the general instructions for the RFP. I did not include the entire packet under the direction, or under the advisement of the city attorney, as it could have caused an unfair advantage to anybody looking in the packet in securing their underwriting services. However, I do have that packet available if anybody wishes to see it. I also looked at the websites of over 30 agents in Marshfield that advertised insurance services and felt 11 of those could fulfill the needs of the city. My intention is to invite those agents and the current provider to solicit a response. At this time, I would also be requesting 2 volunteers from the council to participate in the selection process, and you can either express that interest this evening or email me separately. With that, I would ask that council authorize myself to solicit responses for the RFP for insurance services according to the proposed schedule.
We have a motion by Alderman Tompkins, second by Alderman Giles. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none again, please email Jennifer if somebody is interested in being on this committee, because we need 2 of you. Ed
Mrs.
Wagner will
Spiros?
volunteer number 1.
Mrs. Spiros?
Yes.
Mr. Rigel?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. And thank you, Jennifer.
Thank
Thank you, Ed. Item R, discuss possible ordinance to prohibit the practice of declawing cats within the city of Marshfield, presented by Steve Barr, City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, we've hit the point in the process where it's getting a little bit more serious as whether the council wants to pursue this farther. It's been a very thoughtful process, I think, ever since Councilmember Giles brought this up in the late spring, I believe it was, late spring, early summer. He did an outstanding job. I want to commend you, Brian. You got a good speaker in Jennifer Conrad to come and talk to the council on July 11th and make a presentation on the issue. We've had a thoughtful process in terms of soliciting public input. I want to thank Communications Director Tom Laux and David Ballingston, who works with him as well, for his participation in getting the word out through Facebook, website, any number of means to try and solicit public comment on this issue. Tonight we had a half a dozen speakers who came and talked about the topic of declawing cats as well. So we've kind of hit the point where it's time to find out what the council thinks. Do you want to pursue having the city attorney draft an ordinance? Do you want to have further consideration on the matter after tonight before deciding that? What is your purview based upon all the information you've taken in and the public feedback you've received?
We have a motion on the table by Alderman Giles, second by Alderman Tompkins. And Alderman Spiros, you will be first, and Alderman Varsho, you will be second to make comments.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, could we actually hear what the motion is first? This was discretion of the council this evening.
So Alderman Giles, thank you.
I would also like
like to thank.
Oh, it's still out. Yeah. Sure.
All right, let's try this one.
That's much better, thank you.
Okay. So I would like to thank everyone that expressed their opinion on this matter. I think between the presentation with Jennifer Conrad and the people who spoke in favor tonight, we've heard from the experts. We've heard how important this is to them. So I would like to make a motion to use the sample language I passed out earlier to write an ordinance to ban cat clawing in the city of Marshfield.
And Natasha, you still will second that motion? Thank you. Now, Alderman Spiros.
Thank you. I'm actually going to be reading a little something from my paper, so you might see me looking down. I did get contacted by a few people on this, not a whole lot, but a few, even as late as this afternoon, regarding this. And I do think personally, I've only ever owned one cat, and it was more than 30 years ago. I did have my cat declawed back then, and you know, she really didn't seem to have a problem with it. I didn't notice any bad behaviors or excessive pain or anything. She was down for a couple of days and then seemed to revert back to her normal self. I think education in this situation is your best bet in deterring this practice if that's what people choose. However, there are a lot of people that are concerned about government, from the local government to the state to the federal government, inhibiting our liberties and choices. People should be free and unencumbered by regulation as much as possible. For me, this is just government overreach. Additionally, I'm concerned with how the ordinance would be enforceable. How would our ordinance officers enforce this? How would they know who took their cat out of town and declawed them? How would they know whose cats were declawed, whose cats weren't? Are they expected to go home to home when people, you know, register for a tag for their cat? I mean, I don't understand how this is enforceable. I don't like ordinances that are not enforceable. I think they're, you know, just silly to have on the books. For that reason, I do not support this type of ordinance.
Alderman Varsho. Alderman Giles.
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to respond first off to the question of how it would be enforced. Actually, this ban isn't finding the people who would get their cats declawed. It's actually would be finding the veterinary services. As we know, our veterinary services don't currently declaw in the first place. So whenever you get a procedure like that, it goes on record, so it's pretty easy to track. And secondly, in terms of the government overreach, I'm gonna go back to something that Councilmember Tompkins said, and she said the role of government is, especially local government, is to look out for the people who, or things that can't look out for themselves. And this is a prime example. Cats really have no say in if they're declawed or not. So that's kind of why I believe in this ban.
Alderman Spiros.
I don't want to get into an argument back and forth, but government is by the people, for the people. It's not for cats, it's not for dogs. And again, if we don't have any veterans that are veterinary people who are performing this, what's the point? Who are you going after? I mean, are you going to go after a veterinarian who maybe declaws a cat in Madison, a cat that stays with somebody in Marshfield? I don't think this is enforceable, and I truly do believe that people have rights, and they have, you know, a say over their pets, over their children, and the government is too nosy, and they're too in people's business. And again, for that reason, I will not be supporting this. Not because I don't think that education with people should be done. I think that's your best bet, is to educate people. But in the end, I believe it's their choice.
Any other comments? Alderman Tompkins.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this, reading all the comments. There really are two sides. We have people who are worried that this is an overreach of government. And there are other people who say, you know, this is something that harms animals and we need to protect them. And so I asked myself, if we were not to do this, would there be any harm? And if we were to do this, would there be any harm? And obviously what Mr. Giles has just said, you know, this would be, I think when we say if we were to say you cannot do this, then obviously we would prevent harm to animals that has been documented. We have our veterinarian and our MAPS people say, please don't do this. So we do have experts within our city asking us not to do this. I mean, to not have people declaw. So we're preventing that harm. If we do this, do we cause any harm? And I don't think this causes harm to individual families because they will have the freedom to go outside of Marshfield. Basically, this is saying vets within the city of Marshfield will not be able to do this procedure. So that's kind of where I came down to.
Any other comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Mrs. Spiros?
No.
Mr. Rigel?
I want to be that guy. Could you please reread the motion again? Sorry.
Sure. The motion is to use the sample language provided this evening to write an ordinance to ban cat declawing in the city of Marshfield.
No.
Motion does not pass. Item S, schedule joint meeting of council and fire and police commission to review results of the police station relocation feasibility study presented by Steve Barg, city administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, back early in the year, we got a very nice offer that an individual was willing to donate a property to the city on the south end. It's 2504 South Central Avenue, the former Buffalo building. If we would be considering putting the police station at that location. We've been looking at that ever since. The police chief has been involved, as have many others. We actually, on April 25th, got authority from the council to contract with ADCI, a firm that's done a lot of this in the past, and to look at the cost and everything associated with doing the renovation that's required. The study has now been completed. We'd like to share the results with both the council and the Police and Fire Commission, potentially inviting the CDA to join us as well for that conversation. But to hear the presentation by ADCI, have a chance to review the study results and discuss what they find and what it means. We're looking at a special meeting for that because I think this is a topic that really is best suited in a special meeting. And the date we are recommending is Wednesday, October 4th at 5:30 p.m. at the 2nd Street Community Center. I have felt out both the council and the PFC on their availability for that date, and I found quorums for both bodies. So the recommendation tonight would be to schedule a special joint meeting of the council and the PFC for Wednesday, October 4th at 5:30 p.m. in the 2nd Street Community Center.
Motion by Alderman Giles, second by Alderman Werman. Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Mrs. Spiros?
Yes.
Mr. Rigel?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. If I can say, if you're one of the, I think there's a couple of council members I haven't heard yet, whether or not you can make it, please let me know, just so I know how strong that quorum is.
Item T, request to approve appointment of Sarah Terrell, 408 North Chestnut Avenue, to the Committee on Aging to complete the unexpired term ended in April 2025, presented by myself. You all have a packet in front of you, which we read it 2 weeks ago. So this evening, we have a motion on the floor by Alderman Fire, second by Alderman Varsho. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, please vote.
Mrs. Spiros? Mrs. Spiros?
Yes.
Mr. Rigel?
Yes.
Motion passes, and thank you, Sarah Terrell, for stepping up. Item U, suggested items for further agendas. Alderman Werman?
With the failing of the ordinance of the cat declawing, which I did vote against simply because I do feel with what Alderperson Spiro said, it might be a little bit of an overstep. I do also think it's inhumane, and I absolutely agree that education is a must. I would like to possibly see if Tom Laux from Communications could propose some sort of educational series. Might take a little communication on the side without putting you on the spot, Tom, but if we could revisit that in the future to help educate as to why it's not a good idea to declaw, I would like to continue that venture as Brian has brought up.
Thank you. Alderman Giles?
A few meetings ago, we had a citizen who had come in to speak briefly, who had to mow her lawn. She had the weeds, and I know we really talked much about that. We had talked about maybe revisiting that ordinance, making some changes to it. So I think that would be something to look at in the future.
Thank you. That item is scheduled for the Board of Public Works meeting on Monday, the 18th, and the board will look at the current ordinance and discuss the request that's been made. Thank you for bringing that up, though. It's good to know that it's moving forward to discussion.
Any other council members? Alderman Tompkins?
So I have a question. Do we ever go through our ordinances and check to make sure that they are pertinent, up to date, and useful for 2023? Because if we don't, I would propose that we start that, and I would like to start with the bicycle ordinance. There's a few things on that as a biker that are a little out to date.
Can I take this to mean that we would take a look at the bicycle ordinance and do a review and get back to you? I think the depth and breadth of everything in the city code is so large. We normally deal with things as they're brought to our attention, like the person indicating they think that the weed ordinance might be outdated. But maybe start with the first concern you've raised and then see where it goes from there.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Seeing none, item V, adjourn to closed session under Wisconsin statutes, chapter 19.85, 1E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. 2024-2026 Fairgrounds Management Agreement. We have a motion by Alderman O'Reilly, second by Alderman Werman to go into closed session. Please vote.
Mrs. Spiros?
Yes.
Mr. Rigel?
Yes.
We are in closed session. Thank you all. matters discussed in closed session if appropriate. Alderman O'Reilly?
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to wait until the next council meeting so we have time to review the documents we received late today before we make a decision on the fair contract.
And is there a second? Alderman Spears seconds the motion. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, please vote.
Hang on a second. Mrs. Spiros?
Yes.
Mr. Rigel?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
The meeting is adjourned.